face-off with the press.
This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine.
Answering questions about those contacts between his campaign and Russia.
Russia is a ruse. I have nothing to do with Russia. Haven't made a phone call to Russia in years.
And lashing out at the media.
I turn on the TV, open the newspapers, and I see stories of chaos. Chaos. Yet it is the exact opposite.
He vows to prosecute criminal leakers, plus new promises on taxes and immigration. Our powerhouse political team here breaking it all down.
The strongest storm of the season hitting Southern California right now. 20 million on alert for flash flooding as torrential downpours batter an already hard-hit West Coast. This mudslide shutting down I-5 in Washington, and this road collapsing. A car sinking, its antenna just above the water. The new warning as nearly a foot of rain moves in.
ABC News exclusive. The ex-wife of the Georgia dad, convicted of killing their son, leaving him in a hot car, now speaks out.
There was no evidence in our relationship that suggested that he would harm anyone, much less his own son.
One-on-one with Amy.
You went on the stand and supported your husband. Why did you do that?
Why she's still defending him now. First on GMA this morning.
And half-court happiness. The young woman sinking one rock, then landing another, making a basket, then turning around and getting the proposal of her life. Her boyfriend there in disguise inside the slam dunk engagement.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning, America. That proposal, the perfect way to start off a Friday. I love what you said there, sinking one rock and getting another.
Yeah, she knows how to do it. I don't think they expected her to make that first shot, but that happened up in Albany, New York. And the best thing, their families were there in the suite watching the game, and they caught that sweet moment.
It was definitely a sweet moment. A lot of news to get to this morning. You guys saw that press conference yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
What a presidential press conference. Never seen anything like it before. President Trump unfiltered, 77 minutes. His critics said he was unhinged at that time. Two things we know for sure, as I said. We've never seen a presidential press conference like that. And just 1 month into his presidency, we know exactly what's on the president's mind right now.
He definitely tells it all. And the president was on an attack for those 77 minutes, battling with the media. And our chief White House correspondent, John Karl, was in the room where it happened. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Amy. Well, the president came ready to spar, and he seemed to relish it, insisting that despite those headlines about White House turmoil, his presidency is off to an historically productive start.
To be honest, I inherited a mess. It's a mess. At home and abroad, a mess.
Despite the mess he says he's inherited, the president insisted he's done a great job. The main problem? News coverage that harps on the negative.
I turn on the TV, open the newspapers, and I see stories of chaos. Chaos. Yet it is the exact opposite. This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine.
The president touted a productive first month. A soaring stock market, executive orders cutting regulations, and the smooth rollout of his Supreme Court nominee. Press reports on dysfunction and drama, Trump said, were simply wrong.
I can handle a bad story better than anybody, as long as it's true. And, you know, over a course of time, I'll make mistakes and you'll write badly, and I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay when it is fake.
Fake is what the president calls reports that his campaign advisors had repeated contacts with suspected Russian operatives before the November election.
I just want to get you to clarify, because it's a very important point. Can you say definitively that nobody on your campaign had any contacts with the Russians during the campaign? And on the leaks, is it fake news or are these real leaks?
Well, the leaks are real. You're the one that wrote about them and reported them. I mean, the leaks are real. You know what they said. You saw it. And the leaks are absolutely real. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake.
The first part of my question, the contacts, can you definitively say that nobody...
Well, I had nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with Russia. I told you. I have no deals there. I have no anything.
Later, Associated Press reporter Julie Pace tried to pin the president down.
No, nobody that I know of. Nobody
so you're not aware of any contacts during the course of the election?
How many times do I have to answer this question?
Can you just say
Russia
yes or no
is
on
a
it?
ruse. Yeah, I know you have to get up and ask a question, so important. Russia is a ruse. I have nothing to do with Russia. Haven't made a phone call to Russia in years.
As for his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, the president continued to praise the man he fired.
Mike Flynn is a fine person, and I asked for his resignation. He respectfully gave it.
But it was this exchange that stunned many, including lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
When you say the inner cities, are you going to include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as?
Am I going to include?
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic
Well, I would.
Caucus,
I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours?
I'm just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure
Let's
they're
go
watching
set up
right
a
now.
meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great.
Now, the Congressional Black Caucus sent the president a letter a month ago saying that they want to work together but did not receive a response. Now, Amy, this morning, both the Congressional Black Caucus and the White House say that they are working on setting up a meeting.
All right, John, and we're also learning this morning that President Trump's initial pick to replace Michael Flynn as National Security Advisor has officially turned down that offer.
That's right. Former Vice Admiral Bob Harward, former Navy SEAL, was offered the job. I spoke to him late last night. He said he was humbled and honored to get the offer, but after serving for 40 years in the Navy, including several deployments, many deployments in war zones, that he couldn't do it to his family again. He just couldn't make the commitment.
All right, John Carl, we appreciate it. Thank you. George?
Okay, thanks, Amy. Big goal of the press conference for the president to advance his campaign to delegitimize the mainstream media, show his supporters he's taking them on.
Many of our nation's reporters and folks will not tell you the truth. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. Russia is fake news. This is fake news put out by the media. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. No, the reporting is fake. But I want to just tell you, the false reporting by the media, by you people, the false, horrible, fake reporting makes it much harder to make a deal with Russia.
Okay, let's start our roundtable right now. Our senior White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, our political analyst, Matthew Dowd, and Amy Holmes, political analyst for Rasmussen Reports. Thanks for coming in. The president has also tweeted this morning. He said, thank you for nice statements. Rush Limbaugh said one of the greatest ever. Fake media, not happy. So the president had a strategy here. Did he succeed?
If it was to get everybody focused on and talking about him and having everybody analyze him, he did succeed in that. I think my view of this is, if you take a look at what the country thought of this, 25% of the country who loves Trump love that because it was a total assembly of him in all his glory. 25% of the country who hates Trump hated that and was probably aghast at it. And 50% of the country where they are was probably concerned, a little bit confused, and probably slightly nervous in the aftermath of that.
He certainly seemed to love it.
And he said so. He said he's having a great time. I think the key is what he said at the very beginning, that he was trying to reach the American people with the press just present, basically relegating them to nattering nabobs of negativity. I think that he did succeed, however, in showing his toughness, and that's one of the great strengths that he had during the campaign, and one of the things that his voters liked most about him, and it's his willingness to take on the mainstream media.
And one of the things that was clear, Cecilia, is that he definitely wanted to take control of this narrative. He sees himself getting pummeled every single day, these suggestions to the White House in chaos. He said, I'm going to go do this myself.
And this press conference came in the wake of a series of really bad stories for this White House. The big one yesterday being that the White House was in turmoil. He wanted to change that narrative. But let's not forget, Donald Trump ran on being an unconventional candidate, and that is exactly what we saw. So I totally agree. I think supporters of his will eat this up and love it. But let's also go back to the business at hand. Donald Trump was there to announce a new labor secretary that got just a handful of seconds during this press conference. I do still think there are a number of questions about Russia and contacts that the campaign and surrogates of his have had with Russia that still remain unanswered. But let's give it to him. There were a number of questions that were answered from everybody in that room, and Donald Trump had been criticized leading up to this for not taking serious questions from mainstream media, and he certainly did that yesterday.
He took all the questions, no question about that, but Matthew, did he advance his agenda? at all?
No, because I think that if you think about the person in Michigan or the person in Ohio that's worried about their job and voted for him reluctantly. I mean, keep in mind, 46% of the country voted for him, but about a quarter of those voters thought he was unqualified to be president and didn't have the temperament. They want to see somebody that's going to advance the ball for them and be presidential. Coming away from that press conference, that 25% of the people that voted for him are not going to feel more comfortable about him in the aftermath.
Yeah, he complains about not getting focused on, the media not focusing on things like he does with Boeing and Carrier, getting the jobs, but all of that talk gets in the way.
Right, and I would say that, there is a tendency to step on his own message when he's addressing 1,000 things over 77.
He means all the time.
Well, there is that, and I do appreciate that at the beginning of his press conference, he went through what he's accomplished, what he's done through executive orders and decrees and so forth. But again, what are we talking about? We're being theater critics instead of looking at the substance of the policies.
Here was the moment to me that in some ways was the most remarkable moment in the press conference. The president talking about that Russian ship patrolling off our shores.
The greatest thing I could do is shoot that ship that's 30 miles offshore right out of the water. Everyone in this country is going to say, oh, it's so great. That's not great. That's not great. I would love to be able to get along with Russia.
Kind of an astonishing thing. One, that the president would think everybody would say was great. Two, sort of forgetting the idea that it would start a major war with Russia.
That you could make a comment about blowing up a Russian ship 30 miles off the eastern seaboard with a quip, I think, have a lot of people scratching their heads this morning as like blowing, literally and figuratively blowing off a comment like that.
It was a popcorn-worthy press conference. You have to admit, it was an unbelievable expose of Donald Trump.
And they said the president loved it. We may be seeing more. Thank you all very much. Let's go back to Amy.
All right, George. Well, President Trump also expressed outrage over intelligence leaks, saying he will put a stop to them. Take a look.
We're looking at him very, very, very serious. I've gone to all of the folks in charge of the various agencies, and I've actually called the Justice Department to look into the leaks. Those are criminal leaks.
Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, and former FBI Special Agent Brad Garrett. And Dan, I'll begin with you. You just heard the president calling these leaks criminal. Is that the case?
They could be, certainly. There are a lot of statutes that you can use to investigate and potentially prosecute people for sharing information, for example, related to the national defense. Doesn't even have to be officially classified information. Then you've also got the possibility of classified information. You've got a whole host of statutes to use if you want to, and you really want to dig in to figure out who did it and whether they should be prosecuted.
But it is confusing because we heard President Trump say the leaks are real, but the news is fake. How do those two things coexist?
They don't. I mean, either there are people with access to national defense information or classified information that are improperly sharing this accurate information, or the media is making this stuff up, right? Because if the media is making it up, or if these people who are in government are just taking the media for a ride, what are you investigating? You're investigating nonsense. So either it's real and it's frightening to the president and it shouldn't be happening because this is important information that's being shared, or we in the media are supposedly just making this stuff up, in which case there's nothing to investigate.
Let's talk about the investigation. Brad, President Trump is saying that he is having the Justice Department look into these leaks. How difficult, what is it like to catch leakers?
Well, the first thing you have to do is figure out if the information leaked is actually classified, because many times the press only get a small portion. So that has to be vetted first. Then you have to look at the number of people who had potential access to that particular classified information. I will tell you, Amy, that less than 50% are identified, and virtually nobody ends up being prosecuted at the end of the day.
All right, Brad Garrett, Dan Abrams, more to come. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, guys. It was hard to remember by the end, but the president opened his press conference yesterday by announcing his new pick for Labor Secretary, Alex Acosta. Let's get more on that from our congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce. And Mary, the president moved quickly after he had to withdraw his first choice, Andy Puzder.
Yeah, he certainly did, George. Overshadowed in this press conference the president's announcement of his new Labor Secretary nominee. He's named Alex Acosta to replace Andrew Puzder, who withdrew just 2 days ago. Now, Acosta is seen as a safer pick. He's a Florida Law School dean, a former assistant attorney general, and if confirmed, he could be the first Hispanic member of the Trump cabinet.
A safer pick, but Democrats are raising some questions.
Yeah, George, right now, consider this. President Trump has more unconfirmed nominees than any president at week 4 in history. Just 13 of 22 cabinet nominees have now been confirmed. In fact, they have been up here railing all night long, Democrats, against the next pick up to have a vote. Pruitt for EPA secretary. They are still at it. That vote later today. George.
Okay, Mary Bruce, thanks very much. Let's go to Michael.
All right, thank you, George. We're going to turn now to a terrifying plot uncovered in Florida. Police are arrested a man they say wanted to bomb Target stores along the East Coast. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is outside of Target in Jersey City with the story. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Michael. A Florida man's get-rich-quick scheme landing him in jail this morning. His alleged plan to destroy Target stores like this one so he could buy cheap stock. A Florida man behind bars this morning accused of plotting to blow up Target stores up and down the East Coast using bombs hidden in packaged food, stuffing mix, breakfast bars, and pasta boxes. Investigators finding the ingredients to make the bombs right here at Mark Barnett's Ocala, Florida home.
I'm speechless. It's terrifying to hear.
According to the arresting documents, the 48-year-old offered someone $10,000 to put 10 bombs on the shelves inside Target stores, warning not to let the boxes bounce around or they would explode, asking that they put one in each state from New York down to Florida, saying get as far as you can go because we didn't want to make it a localized thing.
Having an individual like this out in the public that would have this in his mind to build these devices with what he had in mind, that's an individual that you want to get off the street quickly.
Barnett giving them a bag of gloves, a mask, a license plate cover, and $280 as travel money. That person taking the bombs straight to police, sending Barnett straight to jail. Investigators say the bombs were real, capable of causing property damage, serious injury, or even death. His motive? Authorities say Barnett hoped the bombings would send Target stock prices plummeting so he could buy shares on the cheap, setting him up to make big money when the company's stock recovered. So why did he ask for help? Because he was wearing an ankle monitor tracking his every move. He was already on probation for multiple other felonies. Michael.
All right, thank you, Eva. Some things you can't explain.
I know, disturbing. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Well, now let's move on to the biggest storm of the season about to hit the West, affecting millions of people. And Rob Marciano is in Seal Beach, just south of Los Angeles this morning. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Amy. They are bracing for an unusually strong storm, now ramping up off this Pacific coastline. I'm standing over a protective berm to try to keep the water out of here at Seal Beach, but with 15, 20-foot breakers, that's going to be a tough go. Not to mention the rainfall. Preps are being done up and down California from sandbagging to clearing basin. Those are being rushed to completion. But look what happened yesterday in Washington State. Interstate 5 shut down because of a mudslide. The northbound lanes took them 5 hours to clear that. Portland, Seattle seeing nearly all-time records for the month of February. We expect more scenes like that here today. Mudslides, trees down, and flooding, so much so they brought in big pumps like this to try to keep the water out of those homes. It's going to be a rough day today. Amy?
Wow. All right. Thanks, Robin. Let's head straight to Ginger for the very latest on the storm's path.
Right. So Seattle nearing 8 inches, which would be close to by Monday, likely their wettest February on record. That's why we see pictures like this. Look at this, Lind, Washington. Imagine driving to work and your car just falls through. That's exactly what happened. This guy actually survived, which is great news. That large gap in the road there. Unfortunately, we're thinking we'll see more of the same as this active Pacific jet stream sets up, and the timing is really important. It's through the day today. Los Angeles starts to get it after the noon hour, and we're talking heavy rain. I mean, LA doesn't necessarily get a lot in any way, but it's a ton by San Diego. The drive time tonight. All right, let's get to your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the weekend getaways brought to you by Cosequin.
Why does Duke take Cosequin? So he can get up and down the stairs. Keep him moving with Cosequin Joint Health Supplements.
Temperatures this morning in the lower 30s, so definitely good enough to still need that heavier jacket. As we go through today, though, we are going to be heating up into the upper 40s, so already starting to feel a little bit milder compared to yesterday, and that sunshine will be out in full swing. As we go through the upcoming weekend, 66 degrees on Saturday, well above average for this time of year. That's also going to be the case on Sunday. Maybe a few early sprinkles, looking good for President's Day.
And coming up, that ABC News exclusive. The ex-wife of that father convicted of leaving their son in a hot car now breaks her silence.
It never crossed my mind that Ross had done it on purpose. Never. It was an accident.
Amy's exclusive. First time.